Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Breakpoint Breakdown. We are so glad you could join us. Obviously, today was the first day of play at the French Open, so we're going to discuss that. We had a lot of other things go down as well. We had a bit of a tribute ceremony for a living legend. It was a great day of play. We also had a special someone win a 100th title yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that. Chase, how you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. A lot of impactful things in the tennis world that happened in the past, like a week or like a week or two, I want to say, specifically at Roland Garros. I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, exciting day today. But firstly, we want to mention our first ever episode. We released it yesterday. Apologies for a bit of a late release. I know we promised you that we would release the first one on Saturday, but
Yeah,
we both got really busy on Saturday. Had a lot of things to do. I had some graduation festivities to attend and all that. So apologies for that. But the first episode is out. So if you haven't watched it already, please go and watch that. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram because we do give you an update when we post on Instagram.
for sure.
So we'll let you know about that. And then one of the things I forgot to mention at the beginning of that episode is that we have a bit of technical issues right now, so we're only going to be uploading audio recordings. I mentioned that a little bit later in that episode, but I'll just mention it right now once again.
And we will have this fixed in the future. For anybody wondering, this will be fixed in the very near future.
Yes, it definitely will. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention we primarily cover men's tennis. We just know a little bit better. It's just easier for us. It's also harder just to discuss both men's and women's. Otherwise, the episodes would just be way too long as well. So men's tennis is our specialty. But Chase, I will ask you, do you have a prediction for maybe who you think might win on the women's side?
On the women's side, honestly, I feel like Swiatek's been off in her form in these past couple tournaments. However, I do believe that she can make a run in Roland Garros as she's won 4 of the 5 times in the past 5 years. I don't think she's out for the count. I feel like she'll be able to make a push for another title in Roland Garros. However, if I don't have her as my front runner, I would have Sabalenka.
All right, yeah, I like Sabalenka to win. She's just been on fire this year. She won Madrid, had a bit of a tough loss in Rome, but she is the clear number one. She's far and away ahead in the points, and I know Swiatek has won the last 4 out of 5, but I don't know. I just like the way Sabalenka's playing this year, and I back her, and honestly, basically every match she plays. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Djokovic's 100th title. I mean, this guy just has literally every single record you could
Yeah.
possibly have in tennis. Like, Chase, his records are just insane.
Yeah, I would also like to mention that 72, I believe 72 of these 100 titles are
Big
big, like
titles.
big titles,
Yeah.
which just in and of itself is GOAT status, to be honest. As much like a Rafa fan as I am, you can't really deny Djokovic is the GOAT of tennis.
Oh, yeah, he is. And by the way, for those of you who may not know, a big title is a Grand Slam, a Masters 1000, a ATP Finals win, or an Olympic gold medal. All right. So Chase, he may not get the record for the most titles overall because Connors is at 109, but
And
I
Federer's
think
at 103 as
yeah,
well, but
Federer
yeah,
is at 103. So he's just 3 behind Federer now, and I think he can pass Federer.
I do as well,
Yeah.
honestly.
All right. Well, this also gives Novak just a lot of confidence going into the French Open. It was not looking like that at all before this tournament. He hadn't won a clay court match coming into this tournament, which is just wild. I think that was the first time that might have ever happened for
Yeah,
him.
his form was really, really shaky, especially starting from the BMP.
Yeah. So it was a tough run of form for Djokovic. He wins his 100th title, and also what an epic final that was in Geneva against Hubert Hurkacz. 7-6 in the third, 3-hour final.
I mean, Hurkacz was bombing serves the whole match. I mean, this
Yeah.
just comes to show you how great Novak's fitness is, especially at his age, being 38, and also having specifically better records against top tier servers than the average player. Novak's record versus Hurkacz is 8-0
Yeah,
as of
he's
today, I
8 and
believe.
0. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is insane.
yeah. And on
Yeah,
top of
and
this, I feel like Novak's return, especially on clay, I feel like that'll be able to elevate him in Roland Garros, where his fitness level might not be able to keep up with Alcaraz or Sinner, like I've said before in our last episode. However, I do feel like his return will allow him to elevate to that higher level if he can get the depth that he was getting against Hurkacz and stop big servers.
Yeah, and Hurkacz's serve is just so tough to break. And let's give some props to Hurkacz because he's had a bit of injury struggles this year. He made the quarterfinals in Rome. That was a really good run for him. Then he makes the final here. And by the way, clay is like probably his worst surface too. So this
Yeah,
is
by
impressive
far.
from Hurkacz. He makes it to the final. It's going to be a heartbreaker for him. He was also up 4-2 in the third, so he probably should have actually closed it out and won this match. But just another testament to Djokovic's greatness, isn't it?
For sure, yeah, 100%.
All right. So great week for Novak. Now let's move on actually to day one of Roland Garros. Today was day one. Let's touch on some of these results. Um, let's start out with Mariano Navone. He upset the American Brendan Nakashima in 4 sets. I said Nakashima was gonna win in
I
the
said
preview.
Davide.
You said Navone was gonna win, so you're already up in our predictions, Chase. Anything to add there?
Honestly, as one of the best clay returners, I never really doubted Navone in this matchup, to be honest. I don't see Nakashima as like one of those top tier clay players when it comes to moving and returning on the surface. I feel like Navone is very good at getting steals on serves, which is why I had him winning in the first place against Nakashima, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think my American bias got in the way of that prediction. All right, let's move on to another American, the 12 seed Tommy Paul. He made the semifinals in Rome. He fought through the lucky loser Mahler. He dropped the first set in a tiebreak, but then kind of cruised through. So we shouldn't be too worried about Tommy Paul, should we? He did drop the first, but I don't think there's too
Honestly,
much to worry.
I feel like it was a thing with Yannick Sinner when he played him in Rome as well. He had to get used to his game style. Kind of takes a set or two to get really like fully engaged, and then after that, it was smooth sailing for Paul. So yeah, I think it was just him getting used to Muller's game style. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it can be tough sometimes when you're playing a qualifier or a lucky loser, just because they've already had those match conditions under their belt from the qualifying.
Yeah,
All right. Riley Opelka, he came through in 4 against Hijikata. I don't think we have too much to add to
yeah,
that.
we predicted that. That was kind of obvious.
Yeah, okay, but how about this? He was the first seed to go out today. The 32 seed, Alex Mickelson, he came in as a seed after Berrettini pulled out. He was ousted in
Yeah, that
straights
was.
by Juan Manuel Cerundolo, Francisco's brother.
Yeah, dude. I don't really much know about. I don't know that much about Juan Manuel Cerundolo, but
Yeah,
apparently he came out to play. I mean,
I don't know much either, other than that the fact he is Francisco's younger brother and that he's a lefty. And I want to say he's a very consistent player from the ground.
okay, that's probably what led to his success then, because Mickelson, I feel like his speed on the surface specifically is probably what held him back in that match.
Yeah, Mickelson's his movement is something that can definitely improve in his game.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, aside from the forehand and movement, I don't. I think Cerundolo just came out with something to prove. To be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, probably did. And Clay Mickelson still needs to get used to it. It's still kind of his second year on the tour. He'll get used to the clay eventually. It's still kind of new for him though.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Chase, you can talk about this one because I know you got to see this match. Francis Tiafoe, he cruised through Safiullin and Struess. I was
Yeah.
a bit surprised by this. I thought this would be a closer match, but you can discuss this because I know you want to talk about his outfit as well. So Chase, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So I want to bring up the fact that Tiafoe was able to cruise through Safiullin when Safiullin hit 20 aces
Yeah,
in
that
the
is an
span of 3
insane
sets.
serving performance.
Yeah, that just goes to show how higher Tiafoe's level of actual baseline tennis is compared to Safiullin, in which Tiafoe is just more consistent, I feel like, from the baseline. However, his movement is still not there, which is why I still don't see him going far in the tournament. However, my props will give to Tiafoe, though, was his outfit. It was an all-blue outfit. Everything matched, an arm sleeve and everything. These bright blue shoes. I really like the outfit. It reminds me of, I believe it was 2018 Rafa
I was
versus,
gonna say that it
yeah,
reminded me of Nadal in 2018 when he won it.
yeah.
Yeah,
2018 Rafa
yeah,
versus Thiem, yeah. It reminds me of that outfit. I really like it. However, I don't think Tiafoe's going to go far simply due to his return game and his movement being very slow. But he's impressed me today with the straight set win. So yeah, that's all I have on the match.
yeah. That's a really good showing from Tiafoe in his first round. All right. Let's just cover this. Fabian Marjan did take out Nardi today in the first round, so he is into the second round, and he will take on Carlos Alcaraz if he wins his second round, which we know is going to be a fun match to watch. So if Alcaraz
For
wins
sure.
tomorrow, we'll talk about that. If that match does end up happening, we'll do a little preview on that.
100%, yeah.
Jensen Brooksby, he came through in 4 sets, so that was a good win for him.
Yeah, that was our prediction, yeah.
All right, let's talk about another a bit of an upset between two unseeded guys. Bodik van de Zandschulp was upset today by Emilio Nava, the American 6'2", 7'5", 7'5". Chase, we talked about how Bodik is a guy that's beaten Nadal, Alcaraz, and Djokovic on the past, but we also talked about how his lows can be pretty big. So is this really a big surprise considering we know his lows?
To be honest, not really. I mean, it was always kind of a 50-50 in my mind. I like to hype him up because of the random wins that he's gotten, but at the same time, I can't really like I can't really trust him to have consistent like draws and runs. I can't trust him as a player to have that, which is why I'm not really surprised by this match. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm not really surprised either. One thing I will mention is that Nava won like the American Clay Court Challenge coming into this, which is how he got into this tournament. He was given a wild card by the French Tennis Federation because he won that. So I guess it shows that Nava is actually a very good clay court player.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually really interesting from an American. Yeah, man. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah. Good win for the Americans. Americans doing well.
Great American one.
All right, Carreño Busta took out Komiasanya in straight sets 6-2, 7-6, 7-5. This killed my bracket. If you watched the preview, you know I said Komiasanya was gonna make the quarterfinals. So my bracket is kind of screwed right now. Chase, you're up at least two predictions than me now. You said Carreño Busta was gonna win. So what a terrible prediction that was from me. But honestly, I am surprised because Komasanya, I mentioned he's been good recently. I hadn't seen much of Carreño Busta, but that was a good call from you to pick a PCB to win that match.
Yeah, honestly, as a big Spanish fan, even though I'm an American, I just knew that Carreño Busta was gonna hype it up on clay, like bring its level to a higher like echelon. I feel like Comesaña is definitely a good emerging clay player from Argentina. However, I don't think that he's on the level of Carreño Busta in terms of experience and slams, the level that he's been at. I feel like PCB honestly would have beaten Comesaña any other given day.
Okay. Yeah, it was a good call from you. So Chase, the eighth seed Lorenzo Musetti, he eased past Yannick Hanfmann today. He had a little bit of a slow start in the beginning, but 6-0 in the third set, and he's a big favorite to make the semifinals here, isn't he, from that Taylor Fritz quarter?
Oh yeah, from that quarter, 100%. I feel like today was more of a statement win for Musetti, and we both know how he talks to himself on the court. I feel like this is gradually a good build up for his mental game as well. I feel like with the way he's playing now, he'll easily make the semis against Alcaraz, and I feel like he'll put up a strong fight against Alcaraz to push Alcaraz to get to a higher level on clay, which will then lead to the final. I do think Musetti, this does lead into Musetti having a slightly higher chance of getting above Alcaraz in terms of like match gameplay. I feel like Musetti can maybe pull off the upset if he is to get that far. But with the level he played today, I could definitely see him being a strong dark horse in Roland Garros.
Yeah, I think the key for Musetti will be to kind of come through these first few rounds unscathed, not get himself into too many four setters and five setters. I think that'll be key for him.
Yeah, the physical aspect for sure.
All right, Chase. Now we talked about this earlier. Surprise, surprise. Tomas Mahach retires against Alice. He was down 6-7, 1-4, and surprise, he retires.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know how many words for this guy. The past like four tournaments he's played and
Yeah,
he's been
I
strong.
can I say something?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
looked up the stat because I wanted to know this. Since Shanghai last year, so since like October last year, he has retired five different times and he's pulled out of a tournament or of a match three different times. This guy needs to figure out his body and really get healthy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really, really does. I mean, you might as well have to take a break at that point. I mean, I don't know what he's planning on like doing with tennis anymore. I mean, if he has to take all this time out of the game and just take up these qualifying spots, it's unfair for the players, honestly, and it's unfair for the fans that pay for the matches that they're watching.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, and we were the victim of that in Indian Wells earlier this year, weren't we? When we watched him against Yosuke Watanabe, and he pulled the pin at 2-4 in the second set.
Yeah, that's just. I mean, he just can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
He can't keep getting away with this.
All right, just a couple more here now. The 31st seed, the 6'8" Frenchman Giovanni Pesci Pericard Chase, he fought through Zizou Bergs today in a tight four-setter with the help of the French crowd. And I want to mention this. They split the first two sets. They were in a third set tiebreak. Zizou Bergs was up 5-0 in the third set tiebreak, and Pericard won 7 straight points to take the
Wow.
set, and that included a forehand pass at 3-5 in the tiebreak, and then Bergs double faulted on the set point to give GMP the set. And then it was 6-4 in the third. So, man, you want to say anything on this?
Dude, I mean, that's what you get when you let your guard down against a serve bot, man. I mean,
Yeah.
especially the tiebreakers, man. Pericard's gonna come back. If you give him a chance, he's gonna rocket the serve through you. I mean, I don't know so much about the baseline game, but I feel like that's a huge win for Pericard and for his mental as well.
Yeah, really good win for Pericard. He could take on Alcaraz in the third round. The last result that we will cover today is the 13 seed Ben Shelton against Sonego. It was a blockbuster match coming in.
Fireworks match, man.
A lot of us expected it to go 5 sets. It certainly did. It lived up to the hype. I'll talk a little bit about this one because I saw a little bit of it. Didn't see the first couple sets, but it was 6-4, 4-6. I'm just going to assume that there was about one break in each, and both guys just kind of served their way to the set. But here we go. 3-0 in the third set, and I thought this might prove detrimental for Shelton. It didn't. But in 3-0 in the third set, Shelton missed a smash to bring up break points for Sonego. And then on the second break point here at 3-0 for Sonego, it's 30-40. He misses his first serve, and he tries to go huge on the second. He wants to hit an ace down the tee, and he ends up double faulting. And then he gets broken later in that set at 3-5 to give Sonego the set. And you thought that might prove detrimental for him, but it doesn't. So let's move on now
Yeah.
to the fourth set. And Shelton, he kind of turned the tables. Sonego, I think he just lost his focus, really. So Shelton got up a double break at 4-1. But then there was this one point where Shelton serves. He kind of hits a forehand in the midcourt. He pedals back, and I think Sonego, he hit an error. And Shelton kind of gets down to his ankle, and it seems like he might have rolled his ankle. He might have done something to his
Interesting.
ankle, and you thought, oh no, well, is this going to be bad for Shelton now going into fifth set potentially? Will he be healthy? Didn't seem to bother him. He finished that set out. Won the fourth set 6-2, I believe. And then come the fifth set, they kind of hold through the first 4 games. And then this is the turning point. Sonego here, he's serving. He kind of broke himself. He missed 2 pretty easy volleys. One of them was kind of tough, but it was makeable. And then he double faulted, and that was just the turning point in the match. Shelton came through in 5. That was basically what happened in that match.
Yeah, I feel like for Shelton, that's a huge win mentally, but I also feel like physically it's going to be demanding for him in these next couple of rounds,
Uh-huh.
which is also, I feel like that's going to limit him from making a far run in Roland Garros, especially due to the ankle injury, like you said. I I think I want to say this is a good win for him, but at the same time, it's kind of a telltale sign of what's to come physically in Roland Garros. We'll see. We'll see how much his body can demand out of him in a run, but I don't see him making it past like third or fourth per se.
Yeah, well, he is in the Alcaraz 8th, so that
Yeah.
would be tough. He'd have to play Alcaraz in the third round, or in the fourth round, excuse me. But would love to see him in the third round play the 20 seed Tsitsipas, who's a former finalist at the French. That would be a really fun match to
That would be
watch.
amazing.
All right, Chase, that's it for today. Let's take a look. Let's at some of the matches that we've got tomorrow. It's Monday, day 2, Memorial Monday here for us in the U.S. We'll take a look at some of the matches. So we've got Carlos Alcaraz beginning his campaign tomorrow against Giulio Zeppieri, the qualifier, and you got to feel a little bit bad for Zeppieri. He's going to
Yeah,
be out in
I
the
know.
first round here.
It's kind of getting set up for failure, man.
All right. We also got Casper Ruud taking on Ramos Vignolas. Ramos
Lord.
Vignolas is about to retire soon, so tough match for that for the Spaniard there.
Yeah.
All right, and then this was an interesting one in our predictions. We got Altmaier taking on Fritz because if you remember, I said Altmaier was going to beat Fritz because
Yeah.
Fritz is just not confident right now. He hasn't been getting the wins this year like we were expecting him to be, given that he's 4 in the world now. He definitely hasn't played like the 4th best player. He's 18th actually in the race. So that kind of shows you how he's been this year. And I know he struggled with injury, so that kind of played into it as well. That'll be interesting to watch, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it would be very interesting to see Fritz.
Yeah. Okay. So, a couple of tough first round matches for a couple of these guys. Holger Rune, he's the 10th seed here. He takes on Batista Agut. And then, as we mentioned before, Tsitsipas, the 20th seed, he takes on Tomas Martin Echeverry. Couple of tough first round matches for these top seeds, Chase.
Yeah, it honestly is, and I like the mix up though. I mean, it adds a little bit of variety to the game. I mean, Echeverry is a solid player. I feel like it'll be a good fight for sure.
Yeah. Will be fun to watch those. Let's give this match a mention. He's out on court 14, a little bit surprising. Stan Wawrinka, he takes on Jacob Fernley. Could be his last French Open, Stan Wawrinka.
Yeah. For Stan, I could see him beating Fearnley, even though Fearnley's very young. I feel like Stan is a veteran, and I feel like clay is if not his best surface. So I could see him beating Fearnley here.
Yeah. Uh, should be an interesting watch. All right, we got the retiring Richard Gasquet. He takes on a French wildcard, Terence Ottman, in the first round. And I'll just mention one thing: he's on Chatrier because he's retiring, so he's on the main court. Right? They can only put two men's matches on. So we got another. We got Sinner taking on Rinderknecht at night. This is going to be the day session. Chase, that means that Carlos Alcaraz is going to have to play on the second biggest court, Susan Longland, tomorrow. So they've shafted Alcaraz onto the
Wow.
second main court. So that's interesting.
Roland Garros front runner on Susan Longland. Wow.
Yeah. You wanna? Should we do a quick word on Gasquet? He might be retiring. I mean, what a career
Yeah.
he's had.
Yeah. Honestly,
Yeah, I think he made the most out of it. He lived through the toughest year in tennis.
100% played through the Big Three era. Had one of the best one-handed backhands personally I've ever seen. I feel
Yeah,
like definitely
same.
top five of all time, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um, he grew up with a lot of the Big Three players, huh?
yeah. He was touted to be like the next big thing in France. He was playing Nadal in like that little French tournament in like the
Yeah.
under 12s, and I think he beat him, and that was like the only time he ever beat him because
Yeah.
Nadal
It's like an over
Nadal was
18 against
I
the
think
Dolphins.
Nadal was 18-0 on the ATP
Yeah.
tour when they played.
Yeah. Aside from that, though, I mean, I think personally he's satisfied with his career. I don't think he has any regrets from from the whole tennis ATP tour. I don't think he has any regrets from it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. We got Artur Feast. He takes on Jari tomorrow. Jari made the final in Rome last year, and then since then he's kind of struggled with some sicknesses, some ear infections. He hasn't been the same. So, can Jari do anything against Feast tomorrow?
Hell, man, I mean, we might see another we might see another Tommy Mahac incident. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna see from Jar, to be honest with you. I feel like he's a serve bot. I feel like Feast is gonna play with the crowd. I feel like Feast is definitely gonna get fired up. I see Feast winning in 90% of any situation that could happen. So I don't see him losing this, to be honest with you. Jari could maybe force it to four. I feel like Feast is gonna win in three.
Yeah, the only factor I could see getting into this match is the fact that Feast has never won a match at the French Open, and
Yeah.
does he feel the pressure of being the number one ranked Frenchman, and now that there's a lot of press on him as well? That's the only factor I see playing
Yeah,
in.
I definitely see him being a young player. I definitely could see him falling to the pressure for sure.
All right, and then the last big match we have tomorrow is the world number one. He's in the night session tomorrow. He takes on a Frenchman, Arthur Rinderknecht, and Chase. It's going to be an early exit for this French wildcard, isn't
Yeah,
it?
unfortunately, yeah. I mean, he can play the crowd as much as he wants, but it's kind of just doom waiting to happen, to be honest.
All righty. All right, that's it for the preview for Monday. The last thing I want to talk about, special tribute happened
Rafa
today
Nadal,
for a living legend, his favorite
idol,
player,
man, idol.
Rafael Nadal. Yeah, idol. What a tribute it was. Kind of want to talk about he retired obviously at the Davis Cup last year alongside Spain. But if you kind of watch that farewell
It
ceremony,
was it was really really
it just
bad.
didn't feel right? Like there was something missing. It wasn't the best farewell ceremony.
Yeah, it was not.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about this tribute. It was so special. First of all, the tribute videos that they did show on the screens were just incredible. They showed kind of some of his winning moments, even some
And
of
the
his heartbreaks and stuff. That was really nice to see.
Yeah,
And
and
then
they
he,
also got the Rafa footprint.
yeah,
That was
I want to talk about
sick.
that at the end because that I felt like was the most special. We'll get to the footprint part in a second.
Okay, okay.
I want to talk about his speech. So he came out onto the court. He got a crazy good reception. He comes out onto the little altar kind of they have set up for him, and he talks about the story in 2004 when he came to the French Open on crutches. He had to pull out, and he said he was watching from upstairs in Chatrier, and he said he dreamed of playing on that court one day. And that's just an insane story
Played
because,
on the
as
court
you would
multiple
know,
days.
he came back the next year. It was his debut. He wins on his debut, and little did we know that he would go on to win that very tournament
Be the
13
best,
more
be the
times.
best clay player of all time.
Yep. Also, I just wanted to mention Rafa also spoke in 3 different languages during
Yeah,
the
that
ceremony.
that was insane, dude. Him, Novak, and I'm pretty sure Federer is bilingual as
Federer.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all three of them are insanely like intelligent when it comes to being like bilingual and trilingual and like quadlingual. It's insane to me.
Yeah. He spoke, so obviously Spanish, that's his native language. He speaks great Spanish. English is good as well. I didn't know he had the French in him though as well. I was surprised listening to him in French. He was
I
very
mean,
good in the speaking French as well.
seeing how much he loves Paris, it kind of makes sense, no?
Yeah. Okay, and then the last
Yeah,
couple things. Obviously, the big four attendance, them being there just made this so special.
yeah,
You
that
got
was
so
huge
emotional just seeing the four of them together when especially when they took that photo together just brings tears to your eyes, doesn't it?
for sure, man. I mean, seeing all the memories they share together, that's really something, dude. The essence there between all four of them must have been insane, man.
Yeah, I know. And it just shows you these guys were rivals throughout their careers. They fought for the biggest tournaments. And just to see them now, with most of them retired, obviously Novak's still going, but most
Yeah.
of them retired, seeing them share moments like this, it just brings joy to your heart.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I love watching the replays of those matches and everything. So
All right, and the last thing I want to mention for this is you mentioned it, Chase, the footprint. How special was the footprint?
that honestly, I think it's a great gesture, but you know what would have even made it even better
Yeah, what?
if they had like all of the different like trophies next to it, like in like a line, all of 14, and they had it like at the back of like they had it at the back of like you know how. You know how like there's like the big space behind the baseline? They had it
Yeah,
like behind one of those baselines. That
yeah, I know. I
that
know
would
what you're
be
talking about.
sick. That would be
Yeah,
sick. But honestly, I feel like they treated Rafa well. I feel like they did him, and I feel like they did it in a good way. I feel like Rafa can't be mad. I feel like he was happy with what
yeah.
they did
No,
with him.
no. This tribute was great. It totally wipes the Davis Cup send off out of the water. Like
Oh
this
yeah,
this
100%, no
one
doubt about it.
was insane, and I don't think. Look, Nadal came out. He didn't say anything about the Davis Cup send off because that's the kind of man he is. He
Yeah.
wasn't going to say anything bad about that, and I think he can live in peace now knowing that he got this tribute.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he has a great respect for Roland Garros, and I think they have a great respect for him. I think that he most likely. No offense to any of the newcomers. I don't know if anybody's gonna change my mind, but I feel like Rafa is and probably will be forever the best clay player of all time.
Yeah, I think for the foreseeable future, there's no doubt he will be the best clay court player of all time.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to argue against that. Yeah, and once again, just having that footprint, they etched that in to the Roland Garros Philippe Chatrier court. That
Yeah.
footprint will remain there forever. That will be there forever. His legacy will live on through on that court. We will always see his footprint there. So that was just a very
Yeah.
special touch from the
Yeah.
French Open from them
Yeah.
to do that.
That was amazing. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for our first ever daily roundup. Obviously, we covered a few more things extra. But yeah, this was the first ever daily roundup. We are so glad that you joined us here
Oh.
today. Once again, if you haven't watched our preview and predictions, please go watch that. It's already out. Uh, we're going to be back again tomorrow for the daily roundup for day 2. It'll be a little bit shorter than this because there's probably not going to be other outside things to talk about. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Chase, you have anything on to add on to that?
Not really. Just please make sure you show your support. We love all of our fans and all of our viewers. We love you guys. We love that you guys put in the effort to watch us. So please show your support as much as you can.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys. We will see you in the next one.